I'm here with my client Teri. We've just been catching up. It's about a year ago we worked together. Teri was about to do London Marathon, but Teri came to me just wanting to unpick a few things in her head. Lots of stuff around food was possibly overwhelming her a little bit, and I'll let Teri tell you about that in a little moment. But the biggest thing for me, I just picked up with just chatting to her, is we've both been through quite a similar thing in our lives where we were well into fitness. We were probably possibly just underfueling ourselves, nailing the gym every single day, rinse and repeat, not really making the progress that our massive amounts of effort in the gym deserved. And just listening to what Teri's told me now is incredible how much she's turned that around. So I think we'll flip it over to Teri to tell you more about that, because she'll do a much better job than me. But I guess, first of all, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, where you're from, what you do, sort of sporting background and stuff like that, that'd be great.
Yeah. I'm Teri. I've just turned 40. I work in an office, but spend a lot of time out and about with clients. My job is not active at all. I am, when I'm not sitting in front of clients, I'm sitting at a desk. In terms of my background, I wasn't particularly active as a child or as a teenager. I got divorced in my late 20s, and kind of during that process got into exercise in a very basic way, just started running. Probably over about the next 10 years of my life, I signed up for lots of challenges and kind of different things. Climbed Kilimanjaro, did the National 3 Peaks, ran a couple of marathons. I've just done the London Marathon not long ago, and other bits and pieces kind of like that. And I guess throughout all of that time, in varying degrees, there's been quite a lot of control around kind of my food and exercise and how that all kind of managed to fit together. So I guess initially I was trying to exercise as a way of controlling my calorie intake, and I'd be very obsessed with, you've walked this many steps or you've run that amount and therefore you can have that amount of extra calories. And I didn't really realise how much it was controlling me until probably the last few years, where I came in this kind of binge and fast cycle, where during the week when you're at work and you're really busy, you're drastically under eating, and then at the weekends when you're around food and people all the time, you just non-stop, you're eating all the calories that you've gained during the week. I don't know how that goes in your mind, but that is how you consider it. And then obviously lockdown happens, and what are we? We're just like around food all the time, and you can eat what you want when you want. And I think a lot of people struggled with that because you are around the kitchen all the time. And I did to begin with, but after not long, I started another diet, started intermittent fasting. I started every diet under the sun. I can talk you through them all. But intermittent fasting to me worked, it just worked for me, because it gave me the control around the food. It gave me windows where I could eat. But actually, because of my kind of binging and fasting that I'd done before, it definitely led me into some really negative habits. And if you've got a background of trying to control food, going on something like intermittent fasting is just going to bring back all those really horrible kind of feelings. I was working out, running, weightlifting, everything, 5 days a week. If I had a day off, that would be like, Teri, what are you doing? You've got to get up and get to the gym or do something. And I think basically I got to the point where I was kind of all right. I'd got to an all right level with my weight and my fitness, or I thought I had. And I got into the London Marathon. And I knew that where I was with what I was eating and my fitness was not going to get me the results that I wanted from the marathon. I knew I wanted to do better. And I think I was really uncomfortable. I knew that my food I felt uncomfortable about it. I felt like it was controlling everything. and it was on my mind 24/7. So every single day I'd be thinking, when can you eat now? What are you going to eat today? What are you going to have tomorrow? You've got to go out for dinner. How are you going to control that? And it was, yeah, just really consuming. And I think one of the things that we talked about very early on was, if you go out for dinner, you can't do that for less than 1,000 calories. In reality, it's more than that, but you can't really go out for dinner on less than 1,000 calories. And if you're only allowing yourself 1,300 calories a day, which is about where I was,
yeah,
like, you're setting yourself up for a fall. You know, you're trying to go all day eating 300 calories so that you can have a meal out. So that, yeah, it just wasn't working. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I was actually out the other side. So I knew that there was some control issues around that. Shall I talk a bit about like the process that we went through, and
yeah, a little bit,
how uncomfortable that was?
yeah. So actually, just to say before we do that, actually, like 1,300 calories isn't a lot for anyone unless they're tiny and it's only like a short term. And with 5-6 days worth of a lot of exercise, it's next to nothing. And kind of we had to address that, but in small enough steps for you to feel comfortable with it. So I think that's about where you're about to go with the conversation, I think.
Yeah, and because I think that was hard, because I looked online at everything that was like how many calories you're meant to have if you're working out, and obviously it was way more, and that was really scary, because I'm eating 1,300 calories and I'm not where I want to be weight wise. So how is eating more going to make me feel better, look better? How am I going to get there when I'm eating more? And I just did not get that. But I knew what other people were doing, and they talked about eating more. Really, I just thought, I'm a unicorn. I'm that one person that's different from everyone else. Yeah. Everyone else can eat more, but I can't. There's something different about me that I can't do that. And I think really once we got past that first month, it's an uncomfortable month. Yeah. I was eating 1,000 more calories a day, give or take. And when I'm running 10 miles, it was even more, because I was, eating some of that back. So I'd say probably the first 2 weeks were really hard. I felt all full all the time. Yeah. I felt fat. I felt like, okay, this does not feel comfortable. I don't like it. But actually, I remember saying to you, if I get fat, Tim, it's your fault. I'm just going to blame you if I get fat. And I think that was in my mind, like, he knows what he's doing. You've got to just kind of trust the process. And otherwise, you're going back to where you were, which was uncomfortable as well. So you kind of haven't got anything to lose.
So what happened after that 2 weeks, actually? Interesting.
Do you know what? I think everything started to settle down a little bit. I think you kind of have this period of your body going, oh my gosh, we've got all of these extra calories. We need to start doing something with them. But I think it takes time for your body to go, oh, this is really exciting. Let's find something to do with this. And then it kind of just goes. And you, like, for me, certainly by, I think, week 3, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So I've got energy, like my clothes are fitting. But what happened was, whereas initially I felt like it was I just felt a bit bigger and a bit more bloated, after those first couple of weeks, I just looked fitter. It was like your muscles are filling up. Like, it's not just going on your belly, like actually your body composition just looks a lot better. You look fuller in the right places, rather than, you look like you're fat. Like, that was not what happened. That wasn't my experience anyway.
I mean, objectively, those photos of you when you got that fullness in your muscles and that like muscle tone that comes from just fueling properly, which isn't even a strength gain, you just looked objectively, you just look more like you trained.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that was one of the things I always would be like, do people know that I actually work out? That I've been working out, lifting weights for 10 years, and you're just lean, like there's just nothing there. yeah, so I feel like once I got past that stage, just like everything clicked, really. Everything clicked. I realized that I felt better. I was performing better. I wasn't so irritable. I mean, I'm still irritable, but but I was like, I would be like, don't talk to me. I'm really, really short. My mood swings were really bad, and all of that just has calmed down so much from the eating. And I think that was one of the things we were really working on, but actually it's translated into my exercise as well. So that relaxed state with the food, it meant obviously when I was doing long runs, whereas previously I might have still like had a binge afterwards, or like not eaten as much that day and then been like, oh my god, I'm kind of starving and I need to eat loads the next day. Like all of that has calmed down. So that did take a bit of time, because I think there's a lot of like rewiring that goes on when you've done that. Like, I use the word binge, more just you're eating way too much, way too quickly. You're not, there's no counting of calories. There's no thought about what you're eating. Yeah. And you could eat an entire packet of chocolate hobnobs in about 5 minutes. And then you're going, oh, I've just eaten that. You're not tasting it. You're not enjoying it. Your body's going, I'm starving. You need to feed me.
You've actually hit the nail right in the head then. I was just about to say, a lot of people might be watching this and thinking, hey, you know what, like they quite often blame themselves for those behaviors. And actually, it's not willpower sometimes. It's the fact that you just said it. You're starving yourselves. You're working your ass off in the gym. You're running, 30, 40 miles a week, walking every morning. Like your body just wants to be fed. So when you present it with a pack of hobnobs, you're going to rip the top open and just nail them. It's just how it's just survival. It's a survival instinct.
Yeah, and I think taking the emotion out of that was key. Kind of like absolving myself of responsibility. Like, it's not because you're weak. It's not because you don't have control over this. Like, your body is fighting you for this. It's trying to get you to eat at every opportunity. So one of the things that we worked on was the counting of calories, and then slightly less counting, so kind of guesstimating what you're eating on a couple of days a week, not writing it down, and then slowly over time just removing that counting of calories. And I don't think I've counted calories for 6 months, probably more. Yeah. And when I think about, give you an example, I remember having an argument with my husband because he bought a food item that was like 7 calories more than the food item that I wanted. And it's that sort of behavior that at the time for me was totally normal. Like that sort of level of control, I'd normalized that in my mind. And now on the outside looking in, you think, wow, what state must I have been in that something like that was worth even a conversation, let alone an argument. And anyone watching this that is in that state where they're looking at something that's 10, 20 calories more and making a decision of what you're going to buy based on 10 or 20 calories, like just now, do something now about it, because that should not be what is important in your life at all.
One of the best things you told me outside of like gym performance or anything, you told me a little bit later on the period we were working together that you just sat down and had I think you had like sausage and chips with your daughter and your husband, and you wouldn't that sounds so normal, but you wouldn't have done that in that period before. I think I very much removed myself from all of the food that was going on. I had something separate that was different, lower calories. And I was thinking about it the other day. I used to think if I can get dinner for 400 calories, like that's a win. And now it's like, no way. If I can get it for 400 calories, what am I having for pudding? Because that is not enough. Like, it is just totally different the way that
I have what I call a normal life. I feel like I'm just a normal person that eats food, and I no longer have any, don't do any fasting, don't do any binging. If I want something sweet, I'll have it. If I'm full, I'm full. I don't want anything else. Like, that's fine. I'm just really just listening to your body, like, and it's fine. If I know I'm going to do a really hard workout session and it's 6 o'clock in the evening, right, I haven't eaten since lunch, I need something to give me some energy to get me through that. And I'll have something, and I won't look at what calories they are, or, you know, you just have what you want, without any guilt. That's the other thing. I think when I was eating things before, you'd go out for like coffee and cake, and you'd be like, what do I think is the lowest calorie cake? And then you'd eat it, and then you'd feel like crap afterwards, because you're like, I've just eaten that bad thing. And yeah, it did take some time. And I think when you're going through this, you've got to be kind to yourself. But now I'm on the other side. You know, as I said to you, Tim, it's been a real catalyst in my life for lots of other things that I previously did not have headspace for. I think sort of coming to you was at a point where I said, what do I want my life to look like? What is the life that I want to create? And how do I go about making that happen? And food was one of the things that took up probably 80% of my thoughts. Like, every day, it was like all the time I'd be thinking, what are you eating? What are you going to eat? Da, da, da. You've got this coming up. And I knew that I didn't really have space for that in the life that I wanted to create.
Yep.
And it's just about being more purposeful with how I'm spending my kind of time and energy. And I didn't realise that it would be quite the catalyst that it is.
Nor did I, but it makes me think when you say that. It's so nice to hear that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't have been, you know, I've just done 90 days without alcohol.
Yeah.
And I definitely would not have been able to do that before I started this journey, because that takes a lot of strength and a lot of self-reflection. I think through this journey, there's quite a lot of self-reflection that you have to do. And I know that there's a lot of people out there like me that are continually trying to undereat. Whether you are or not, who knows, because of the amount you're eating in that one go, you don't really know. But I convinced myself that I was undereating, and I probably was most of the time, over exercising and not actually getting anywhere. You're actually achieving nothing. You're sort of just on that treadmill. And it takes a lot to kind of notice that that's what you're doing. I think it's very easy to just sit there and what you've always done, you just do what you've always done. And actually telling somebody else what you're actually eating is quite scary. And telling someone else, you know, this is when I'm working out, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very like raw process. Like, this is me, this is all the things that I'm kind of thinking on what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, it was an amazing journey. And here I am a year later with absolutely no food hang-ups. I don't weigh myself. I weigh myself every now and then just for fun, but it doesn't affect. It used to affect my mood. If you'd put on 1 pound, like, it just means nothing. You know, and you know, it's funny, isn't it? We, like, as women, we buy clothes based on the size. I've never said to anybody, they're really nice jeans, what size are they? Or, you know, you just go, you look great, or you don't look great. Like, it's about how you look more than, you know, oh, you look great in that dress, how much do you weigh?
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's just like the weirdest thing that you know, until you decide that you want something different.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I think I'd got to.
So
when I
actually,
came to.
when you decided you wanted something different, you said a lot about all like everything that's worked out so well, and like now we're where we're at, it all seems so clear, all seems like, and you have done most of that yourself with a bit of support. But I guess when you came to me, what was it, you know, where did you find me? What did you like that resonated about me? And actually, what were the bits that you weren't really sure about? Because you just said you just had to lay a lot of things on the table to this, you know, this coach. So can you talk a little bit about that and maybe just help people with maybe their fear?
So at the time I was doing the Evolve boot camps, and I know that you do a lot of work with those guys. I was I think I signed up to one of their 12-week weight loss, because obviously I had so much weight to lose. You know, one of those. And but I think it was as I was actually coming to the end of my time doing the boot camps, because the exercise has never been a problem. I think where I was at was, I think I just knew that I couldn't carry on doing what I was doing. Like in life, things become quite uncomfortable. It's like when you're about to leave a job, right? Something annoys you, and it's like there in the back of your mind. And then that thing just grows and grows and grows. And you get to the point where you're like, this is so uncomfortable. I have to do something about it. And I think where I was, yes, I'd got into the London Marathon and I really wanted to achieve a good time in that, which I did.
Yes, you smashed it.
So I really wanted to do that. But I also, and I knew I wasn't going to get there by carrying on kind of doing what I was doing. I don't think I was prepared for how much it would change my life. I think I just went in thinking, you know, I can't keep on this circle of eating 1,300 calories and feeling, you know, really bad. And not really bad, because that isn't how I thought I was. I actually thought I was okay. And I didn't realize until I was on the other side of this, how kind of tired and low energy and sort of stressed and mood swings that there were going on. I think what I'd been doing for so long hadn't given me the results I wanted.
Yeah.
So I've been doing the same thing for all of this time and I'm not where I want to be. So something's got to change. I've got to, you know, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results is the definition of insanity, right? So if you want different results, you've got to do something differently. And I think I just thought, you know, 6 months, I can give that a go. Like, what have you got to lose? You know, the worst thing that could happen is I can just, at the end of the 6 months, be exactly where I am now, constantly feeling like I've got to lose weight and I'm not doing enough. But there's a chance that it might not, you know, I might not. And God, if I could talk to myself back then.
I have these conversations with myself about my former like gym training, like, and not eating enough to support that. And I'm just like, what were you doing? Yeah. But you've got to go, part of it is you've got to go through the process. The other part of it, I guess, maybe you agree or disagree, is that all of the information's out there, but there's so many different sources and there's so many different like flavors of it. Sometimes it can be quite hard to just piece it together and say, right, just doesn't, there's 10 roads, take that one. They all go the same way, but go down that one.
Do you know what I think for me is I knew what the answer was. I just could not do it for myself.
Yeah.
I just could not do it for myself. It was something about the process of signing up, paying some money, because you're then committed to that.
Yeah.
And I think once you pay the money, you're like, right, I've got to do what Tim says that I've got to do. I've got to do what I'm told, because otherwise, what am I doing here? So I think that paying the money was that was the thing. You then go, I need to do what this person is telling me. And although the things that you told me were things that I knew, you kind of like, okay, that's just what I've got to do. I never would have done it for myself. There's no way I ever would have turned around and eaten 1,000 more calories every day. And I just would never have done it. I might have done it for like 2 days and then I would have gone, no.
Yeah.
There were definitely times in the first 2 weeks where I thought, this guy is mad. Like, I just can't do it. I'm not.
I thought you thought I was mad as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, even I was second guessing myself a little bit. And I was like, no, this is just, it's a process. You just got to
trust it and go with it.
Through the process, but there's definitely an A to B. And I think just quickly going on to the marathon, a lot of people sign up to the marathon, and this is like big personal opinion, but they sign up to it for a challenge in some way or other, whether that's a mental challenge, a physical challenge. Sometimes it's a weight loss challenge. Sometimes it's, for me, it was, I wanted to run it for Parkinson's because that's what my nan had.
Yeah.
And I wanted to challenge myself that I could run 26 miles because regardless of your fitness level, 26 miles is bloody hard. Now, I think that actually the biggest achievement that you could get from the marathon is a massive change in mindset. So my mindset changed to one of, I can do a lot of things and have massive resilience because I can put up with temporary pain.
Yeah.
Yours seems to be, the mindset shift is, I'm gonna just shift this focus onto personal performance.
Yeah. Do you know, I think the thing was, I think I signed up for it initially to go. I'd done a marathon before and absolutely hated it and didn't perform very well. And London's always been a dream. London is just different from anything else. And you know, it's that box you've got to tick. And I felt like I'd failed my last one. Although I did the marathon, I did, made all those rookie mistakes. And I wanted to just do my best. I wanted to do myself proud, as they say.
Okay.
And actually, throughout the process, although I had a time that I wanted to complete, I just wanted to have fun when I got out there. And I was high-fiving little kids and taking sweets and stopping for selfies. And, I would have got under 4:30 if I hadn't done all of that. But would I have had as much fun? Probably not.
No.
And I think through that process, you just kind of like, this is what life's about, guys. Like, we're not here for a slog for life. You should be signing up for challenges for fun. You shouldn't be doing them to think, how much pain can I put myself through?
Yeah.
You should actually be doing these things for enjoyment. And I think I'd lost that with my exercise. I'd lost the enjoyment out of it, and I was doing it to, tick boxes. Now I can eat that chocolate cake at the weekend. And my whole mindset has totally shifted. And now, there's an element of routine going to the gym, but I go 3 times a week, and I really push myself those 3 times a week at the gym. I'm not going in, ticking boxes. I'm actually working really hard. And then I'm going home. Not obsessing about what I did and didn't do in the gym. Like, you just leave it all at the door.
I would guess that your gains are exactly the same, pushing yourself really hard for 3 sessions because you've got the fuel, than they are doing a half-hour session 5 times a week.
No, absolutely. And I'm seeing the weight I'm lifting going up, and all of those great things. And even when you're lifting the same weight, it's like, actually that felt a bit more comfortable than it did last week. It's not just how much you lifting and how many reps. Actually, am I doing this stretch and going a bit further? Am I feeling a bit more comfortable doing this? And I think where previously I was just so obsessed with reps, weight, calories, now I can go in and actually look at the whole, it's a holistic view.
Yeah.
It's not calories and weightlifting. It's not the whole answer. Actually, your mental health is in there. And that actually is a really big part of you and what you achieve and what you want from life. And life's too short to be miserable. You've got to do the things that you get happiness and joy from.